The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on
This is
Sunday.
about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Guns up. Giddy up? Are you alive? Are you okay? Have you been shot?
I said guns up.
Bark twice if you're in Milwaukee.
Guns up. Guns up, guns up, guns up, guns up. I don't even hear myself in my own headphones. Damn,
Yeah,
been here for an hour and a half. Still can't fucking get that right.
Volume changed weird. I don't know what happened. But
Yeah, we like to touch things around here. We like to touch things for no reason. Sometimes every paper.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the show.
There's a real habit of just doing things. Just
welcome.
And now my camera's all blurry.
Podcast. Well, that's your internet. That's North Carolina internet for you. Failure to Stop podcast. We are the #1 show where law enforcement meets culture. And every Friday, we come at you with a case breakdown of some kind. Sometimes it's real true crimey, like it is going to be today. Other times it's more like officer-involved shooting breakdowns. It runs the gambit, as it were. Past, present, cop-related. I mean, I guess all crime is cop-related on some level, but you get the idea. Cop involved or not cop involved. It's all over the place. But this is our flagship show on Friday for the Failure to Stop podcast. We've got 4 episode styles. This is, like I said, the flagship one. Every Friday, we go live on YouTube at 11 a.m., and then you'll hear it in the afternoon everywhere podcasts are at, and that's where we break down the cases. Mondays off the cuff. Me and Dave, we cover law enforcement-related news items, like headline news. Tuesday nights is night shift, baby. We pick topics that we think we just want to hear about on night shift while you circle the cars up and kill time. Thursday is Last Call with Tansey and the Overpaid Producer, giving you all the pop culture news you need to sound like a normal person on the weekends when you're off. Oh, wow, that's it. So here we are. And today we are going to talk about a grandma with a gruesome dark side. And it's a local case to me. Like not far. We'll get into that. So stick around. We've got some housekeeping items that we always go through to catch us up, to thank the Wolf Pack for their support, all that good stuff. But how are you, Tansey? What's going on?
Good. I'm confused why this internet sucks so bad. It's been good. Now it's getting better. I don't know what's going on. Tech
I don't know, man. It's North Carolina internet, dude. Clayton internet.
Hey, it's better than the Michigan water. So
Flint. Yeah, maybe Flint. But yeah, I don't know.
Michigan water is great, actually.
Well, Lake Erie is a little bit questionable.
There's nothing great about Michigan. Okay, like nobody brags about being from Michigan. Period.
I do.
Tim the Toolman Taylor brags about being from here.
You know, how'd that work out for him? He was an alcoholic, a raging alcoholic.
Says you.
That's why I lost that show.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Look it up.
I don't know. I don't know if I believe this.
And the show probably wasn't even shot in Michigan. It's probably shot in California.
But it was set in Michigan. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Later on, movies did start to get filmed here, but then our government ruined it all.
But then they realized they were shooting a movie in Michigan, and they were like, "Yeah, let's go back to California."
We were doing really smart stuff, and then it got, jacked up thanks to politics. Someone's a cocaine trafficker.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to thanking those that left some reviews. You've been tracking the stats lately. First of all, thank you everyone on YouTube. We crossed 3,500 subscribers. And to our fans in Argentina,
Yeah.
We love you. Mucho amor. You are freaking bringing us into the top 10 in true crime in Argentina.
Yeah, we're top 100 in France.
Yeah, baby. Bonjour.
We're at like 193 in the United States in true crime, which true crime is like the hardest to chart at because there's so many true crime podcasts. So we're number 92 in Belgium. It's pretty neat.
There you go. We're running it, man. We're in charge.
Doing good things.
Told you.
And we haven't even done the featured podcast thing yet. So
yeah, we gotta one day. Maybe we'll be featured. That'd be a bold move from Apple to feature us, though, because we're not really super politically correct.
90% of the time, we're politically correct 100% of the time.
There you go. All right, let's read some reviews here. First one comes from Full Day's Work, 5 stars. Wolfpack unites. This podcast is better than putting my trooper hat on while driving, screaming at any car going 2 miles per hour over the speed limit. After a full day of telling every other cop how I know more than them, I lay in my bed, wishing it was a ghost bed, turn on the podcast, and fall asleep thinking of Skate Daddy Tansey passing out candy to kids. That sounds like a good day right there.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, JCG Davis, 1776. You want to read this one, Tansey?
Makes my ears have an orgasm. When listening to Mike and the beautiful Skate Daddy Tansey, my eyes tear up with joy and my ears explode with eargasms. They help me calm down after a stressful workday instead of going to go rage. Hashtag Wolfpack.
Well, we're out here saving lives. We're doing what matters. We're doing the Lord's work out here. Last one, Half Speed Killers. Episode 85 has a podcast gold rating after the segment about 5.5 seconds, 5 minutes, 30 seconds, and where they talk about the half speed clip. I then listened to that at half speed. Best decision ever besides listening to every episode of the podcast. Guns up, giddy up.
Dude, I forgot about that. I don't know. Why didn't we make a clip of that?
I don't know.
That would have been a great clip.
I thought I did.
I need to start making notes of clips because it feels like every time I have like an epic moment, I like in my brain, I'm like, dude, I can't wait to see the clip of that. And then I don't ever see a clip of that, which is fun because it's fun to see what other people like versus what I like. But that was one of those legendary moments that I was like, that should probably be a clip.
I'll put it together for you.
Yeah,
That should be a good clip.
I'll do it today.
Ask
Yeah,
and
that
you
should
shall
be-
receive. You know what I'm saying?
I forgot about that one. And then that last words
Yeah,
were tough this
How many
morning.
I think I did 7 clips for the last show.
Yeah, those were all great too. Like those
Dude,
were so funny.
So funny, man.
From that Tuesday night shift, the next day my face hurt because I laughed so hard. And then like all day I would just chuckle. And somebody all throughout the day, we were getting tons of messages from that show. And every time I would see the message, it'd make me laugh again. And then like by far
Night shift was fun. And when I tell that story out loud, I always feel like a complete idiot, but it's funny nonetheless.
It's a great
But
story.
it's real life. Nothing was made up. The characters are all real. We want to thank you guys again in the Wolfpack, the loyal listeners, whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts and dropping those rating reviews. One of the best things we discovered this, we're always trying to make the show better, and we're always trying to figure out how to get the show out to more people. One of the things that it seems like Apple wants are subscribers. All right. So that means we still want you to leave the ratings and reviews, but if you have never hit the plus button, like a subscription button on Apple Podcasts or the follow button on Spotify, those two things will be huge. That way, as soon as the podcast is published, it automatically comes to your device or your account or whatever. That would be huge. So if you listen to the show, of which there's like at least 10,000 of you listening on a somewhat regular basis, if you have not subscribed on the YouTube channel, or if you have not subscribed wherever you listen to the podcast, hit that follow button, that subscription button, so that it's automatic. And that'd be a huge help to us. If you want to support the show, you can also go to failuretostop.com and get merch. That's a huge help. You can support our sponsors. And we just released membership on the YouTube channel. Okay, so Underpaid Producer just joined. Apparently he's balling on a budget. And he is
$3 a month. It's quite a steal.
Quite a steal at $3 a month. So check that out. It's on our YouTube channel. There should be a big red button that says join, and it'll give you the details of the membership. We're not taking anything away from anybody. We're not removing content. We're not creating a paywall around what you're already getting. None of that's happening. This is just a way to support the show, and there's some additional perks to it, and that's it. So we're not begging it from you. We're just offering it to you and saying, hey, if you appreciate what we're doing with the show and you want to support it, great. That's how you can do it. All those ways that we just mentioned above. Anything else, Tansey, before we dive into today's crazy
a couple
story?
of people I don't know why they're bringing it up in the chats, but they're talking about Instill, the distilling company. Why don't I ever advertise for it? And I need better hours whenever I'm in town. It's never open. I need to have some delicious rum. Sean, if anybody goes to that website, you could call the number. I live like right next to the distillery. I can walk over any minute or go over there. And my studio is right down the road too. So even if you couldn't make it into the distillery, you could always make it over here. I don't advertise for Instill. Same reason that Mike doesn't advertise for his real estate company. I mean, we're not paying sponsors on the show, and we would rather you guys support people who are paying to do the show. It's just kind of like separate businesses. So if ever one day Instill sponsors the show, then I guess we would do an ad read, but I think that's just kind of,
right.
I think that's just kind of weird. So
yeah, I mean, we've mentioned what we do. I mean, because it's part of our real lives, but it's not like we're not trying to beat people over the head with only what we do, you know.
No. But if you're interested in rum, I do own Instill Distilling Company, makers of the finest rum in North America, available in Florida and North Carolina and 28 states online.
There you go. I love it. Mike, is that some non-alcoholic 0-calorie whiskey in that coffee? No, I wish. Just good old regular old coffee. Craig Kreger's Dulesky became our first YouTube member, besides the underpaid producer who doesn't count. So you are the first in my book, Craig.
Dude, we got to send Kreger something.
Yeah, for sure. Love it.
Send him one of your old Black Rifle coffee hoodies.
I'll send you this one, right? I don't know. I like this one too much. This one's going nowhere. All right. My wife was making fun of me this morning. She's like, do you literally just have like a plain t-shirt on? That's it? And I'm like, yeah, I had no motivation to appear presentable to anybody today. I'm just literally wearing a plain Hanes tee. Just threw my hoodie on over top of it.
I'm wearing gym shorts because I'm going to go to the gym after this.
Nice.
Flex these pecs for all
Getting
the YouTube.
swole. That's
I'll
like
do
a
this.
Terry Crews style.
I'm Terry Crews in my pecs right now for Craig Zaleski. That's what happens when you become a subscriber on YouTube.
Woo!
Bounce my titties for you.
Taylor Blanket just became a subscriber on YouTube as well, a member there. So
let me bounce.
Oh, holy cow! So did Miss Ario.
Oh God, I'm just gonna be bouncing titties all day.
Man,
I'll show you my cleavage. Keep it coming, boys. There's plenty of more where this came from.
There's no low that Tansey Skate Daddy won't sink to make the members happy.
Is this OnlyFans or is this YouTube?
Only Tansey, baby.
Whatever it takes.
Only Skate Daddy SDT. Yeah, only SDT. Something like that. All right, are we ready to get into this true crime story today, or what?
Dude, let's kill some babies. No, that's Roe versus Wade. Never mind.
Yeah, that's don't even get me started on that.
Dude, I want to have an abortion right now that why it's still legal, so that I could say, well, back in my day when it was legal to kill babies, I killed 2 of them.
I'm debating a Mike on the mic, a weekend special on Roe v. Wade. And not even here's oh my gosh, why did you bring this up?
Let's just don't even do it. Let's just pass it up. We'll save it for another day.
Brandy's a new member. Thank you so much. Hey, listen, no, I'll bring this up. I'll bring this much up.
And then we lose like 10 members. No, I'm kidding.
No, because the actual issue of abortion aside, what makes me mad is, and I put this on Twitter today, is that 99% of the screaming heads on the internet, if you put them aside and said, hey, will you do me a favor just on this piece of paper? Will you summarize Roe v. Wade for me? What the decision was and what led to that and what the constitutional issues were at hand. Could you summarize that for me on a piece of paper in your own words? They can't do it because they have no clue. So it's it was like that.
It's like the don't say gay bill. You know what I mean? Like nobody knew, like
no one really knows.
Nobody knew what the bill really said. And then once you know what the bill said, you're like, oh, well, that's kind of reasonable.
Yeah, that's not what I thought it was. Exactly. And
not what I thought
that
it
is
was.
exactly how Roe v. Wade is with people that are mad that this is happening right now. They don't even know why the Supreme Court is considering overturning its opinion. They don't even know the case that led to that or why they're doing it. So the issue aside of abortion isn't even
Well,
what's
the
pissing
problem,
me off.
the,
It's
the only
people
problem is that
claiming to know legal stuff when they don't.
this thing just got leaked like right at the election, like right at the midterm stuff. So like it's all bullshit, right? Like when I see this, all I'm thinking about is like, what's the government trying to hide from us now? Like, why are they just leaking this stuff up there now? So I'm not even paying attention to it because I just really don't give two shits about it.
Yeah. All right.
But
let's get into the story.
Go.
Now you've heard the phrase if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, right? Yeah. Is that how it is in the Tansey household or no?
Dude, I don't even know when my wife's not happy.
What you mean? Like she's always unhappy?
No, she's like a flat line, dude. Have you ever met my wife? Like,
yeah,
if she laughs, that's crazy.
We've
out
been
of the norm. If she's mad, that's crazy out of the norm. She's very like she's stoic. She's like almost like sociopathic, I guess.
Reminds
me
me
of
of
no
the half speed beating noises.
Yeah, she would be like, I won the lottery today. And you're like, whoa, that's fucking awesome. She's like, yep. Or she'll be like, my dad died today. You're like, that's terrible. And she's like, yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, in this case, the grandma and the mom, she's definitely not happy. And she brings everyone down with her. That's what this story is about. And this story is only going to make sense to you if you're evil or psychotic. Other than that, I don't have much hope for you other than exposing you to the fact that evil exists even among grandmas. Even among grannies, they can have a gruesome, gruesome dark side. And what drew my attention to this story was two things. One was that conservatorship has kind of reared its head again in the news through like the Free Brittney stuff. And you keep up with a lot more with the Brittney situation than I do.
Just dropped some new photos on Instagram.
Tanstradamus is anxiously awaiting which part of the predictions are coming true. Is she going to die of an OD or is she going to go to OnlyFans first? We don't know about Brittney, but you're keeping up and you'll keep us in the loop. But the conservatorship thing popping up with her case brought this to the forefront of the news recently. And this story that I'm going to tell you today takes place in Oxford, Michigan, which also it's local to me. I mean, it's like an hour away, but it's fairly local. And everyone will remember Oxford, Michigan from the recent school shooting and the school shooter's parents getting charged with manslaughter as well. And that all took place in Oxford. So there's a little bit of mix here of what brought this all to my attention. So you know I'm going to have to Tarantino this thing, right?
I don't know the end of it.
Well, I'm gonna weave this. Start with part of the ending, but I'm not going to reveal the full thing until the end. But I want to mention to people that when we tell these stories, especially when they get dark, just know that we're not mocking the victims. We're not trying to not take crime seriously, but it is kind of dark humor at times because that's just the reality of, I think, how people like us have processed the nonsense in our combined experience. So I don't ever want that to be misconstrued as ill intent or, not taking these situations seriously. I feel like that's like the disclaimer, right?
Yeah. I'm not really going to have an abortion.
Right. We're not really wanting to kill babies. And we really don't think that grandma should be out here being psychotic or evil either. So that said, I want to take you to a home on November 23rd, 2014. So a little over 11 years ago. And present outside is a man named Andrew Gailey. And there are two Oakland County. So this is a more rural area of the county. And so it's not like every little place has their own police department. So the county is in charge there. So Andrew Gailey is outside of this home in Oxford with 2 deputies. And the reason Andrew is outside with 2 deputies is because he woke up that morning on November 23rd to a ton of voicemails from his ex-daughter-in-law, Amanda Hendrick. And the voicemails were frantic. They were concerned that his grandchild, 7-month-old Charlie, had not been returned home from her ex-husband from an overnight visit. Okay, so character-wise, we've got Andrew is the grandfather. He's outside with the deputies. He's trying to check on his granddaughter, Charlie, 7 months old, because his ex-daughter-in-law, Amanda, says that the son, Darren, never brought her back from his supervised visit, and everyone's concerned. So unable to get a hold, he wakes up, he tries calling Darren. He decides that he's just going to drive over there, right? And on his way, he makes a 911 call that we are going to play for you right now.
My name is Andrew Gailey, and I'm calling to talk about a possible missing person.
Okay, we have the reports over the phone. What city or township are you in?
Oxford, Michigan,
All right, I can
Oakland County.
send a deputy out to you. What's the address?
The address is, I'm not there yet. This is my son's house. His mother and Darren were supposed to have Darren's child back with the mother in Carroll last night by 7, and they weren't. And I called Sylvia's cell phone, I called Darren's cell phone, and no answer.
Okay.
But I don't, but I also...
We did go out there last night, and there was no one there.
What time did you go out there?
Around 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. And nobody home. Well, what do you suggest I do?
If you want, just call us when you get there. We'll come out and take a missing person report if that's what you're wanting to do, is report a missing.
Well, I think we should work towards that. I will be there probably in 20 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. I will call you as soon as I get to Oxford.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, so that was the 911 call that starts this chain of events. So he meets these 2 deputies there. Andrew opens the front door, which happens to be unlocked. And what he sees next sends Andrew running back to his car, which is his ex-wife, Darren's mother, Charlie's grandmother, Sylvia Majewska. He sees her pale arm hanging over the edge of a couch, dripping blood into a 5-gallon bucket. And so he sees that much, wants no part of this, runs back to his car. The deputies would ultimately find many more disturbing things as they continued through the house, but I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I want us to set the scene here for where we're headed and make sure you understand the characters that I'm going to reference in this story. I mean, they're real, but you get my point. So we have Andrew, the dad, who calls the police. We have the ex-wife, the grandma and mom, Sylvia Majewska. We have the son, Darren, the grandchild, Charlie, and the daughter-in-law, who is an ex-daughter-in-law, because Darren and Amanda are divorced. We'll talk about that. And her name is Amanda. So that's the scene.
So it
where we begin.
It sounds like Charlie bit her finger.
So Charlie bit me. Yeah, there's that's one theory of what happened. It's one option. But I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen, I've seen suicides. I've never seen someone with a bucket under them. It's like a neat freak suicide scene where you're like,
no,
where you want to kill yourself and make sure the blood doesn't get everywhere.
One of the first major crime scenes I ever went to as a cop was a female who killed her baby child, and she had slit her wrist. And my
She
partner,
slit her wrist or the baby's wrist?
no, she killed the baby by throwing the baby up into the ceiling of a hotel room, and then
yes, I remember you
crushing up glass, and then putting it in like a Gatorade bottle and making the child drink the glass.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
my partner at the time, who was also a rookie, He goes by EB on Instagram. But anyway, he wrote it down in his report that she was a white woman, and it come out in the court. It was actually a black woman, and it actually had a lot to do with that trial because he had mentioned her as a white woman because she had lost so much blood from slitting her wrist that she was that gray color.
Yeah.
That you're talking about, that pale white color.
Yeah.
When they are dripping blood.
When they have not much blood left in them. So let's dive into the backstory. This is where that's the opening scene, and let's work our way back toward it, and then we'll move forward. So Darren is one of two children born to this couple. Okay. Sylvia and Andrew got married in 1980, and Sylvia was a local artist, and she, as a job, she was an art director for a couple of like local art galleries. Andrew is like a blue collar guy. They get married and they join forces and would ultimately start and own a nursery / landscaping company and in northern Oakland County in the Oxford area. So that was like their, I guess, family business, as it were. She had two daughters from a previous relationship, but in the relationship with Andrew, that marriage, they have two kids, Carly and Darren. And Darren, as he grows up, they realize in that process as he's developing, he has developmental issues. He's cognitively impaired. I think I cannot confirm for 100%, but Darren's IQ is like 72. But
so right behind underpaid producer.
Yeah, yes, slightly behind. And I love the fact that he walked out of the room and he didn't hear your joke, which is perfect. Okay, so Darren has some cognitive problems, yet I mean he's still functional, and we'll see that he's able to take care of himself on some level later on. But I'm just letting you know kind of like what they are, who they are. So that's Darren. He also has a seizure disorder. So he's got some issues requiring some extra attention. He's born in 1985. And at age 11, Andrew's parents pass away and leave them $1 million. So that changes the dynamic of the family. Somehow, within weeks of Andrew getting this money from his deceased parents in an inheritance, Sylvia files for a divorce and starts essentially, I don't know if it's just like showing her true colors, don't know what snapped inside of her, but from that moment on, from the moment she files for a divorce until now, to this day, she just completely turns into a psychotic, manipulative, evil human being. And that's when it begins. Now, I mean, I'm sure there's a case like if you dug far enough in, people would see signs of her having problems before that. I mean, it's not like money just changed her, but it probably just brought out the real her when she knew that she could capitalize on it. You know, sometimes I think like evil is just like waiting in the wings and it just needs a means of escape. And if she was funded, then she was able to be her true self. I don't know if that's the case or what. We can speculate, but Sylvia obviously files for divorce and then wants half that money, of course, wants her $500,000 that she didn't earn whatsoever, but is rightfully hers because she was married. And she takes primary custody of Darren. Now, Darren, Sylvia starts creating all sorts of problems in Oakland County Court. She's there all the time. She's bringing scribbled notes from 11 or 12-year-old Darren saying about how Andrew abuses him. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, like it's abuse now. Now that $1 million is involved, Darren's been abused. He was never abused before then. It's only after the $1 million comes into play that Darren is the victim of abuse from Andrew. So Andrew is constantly fighting with Sylvia about getting to see Darren, about spending time with him, all this stuff. And Sylvia starts this track record of suing just about everybody. She's trying to get more money out of Andrew for child support. She fakes slip and fall cases and is suing local grocery stores for slip and falls. She sues her neighbors over a shared driveway, claiming that they damaged her apple trees and caused her to lose money on her apple trees. She sued the neighbors for slander because she said that one neighbor was saying bad things about her behind her back in the neighborhood. And her file at Oakland County Courthouse for all of these different frivolous lawsuits and child disputes grew to over 5 inches thick. So I call that tansy sized. It was over 5 inches legit in thickness.
That's
so
real thick. That is a thick file. That is a real big file.
Yes.
5 inches thick. That's huge.
Deadleg Media wants to know in the chat, Oakland in Michigan or Cali? Oakland County in Michigan. That's where we're talking. It's local to us here. All right. So, I mean, this is the kind of person that Sylvia turns into as soon as money becomes an issue. So she's constantly trying to get more money out of Andrew. Oh, Darren needs specialized treatment at U of M for this neurological testing. So I need more money, more money, more money. So not only does she get her half, but she keeps after Andrew to try to get even more. And she's trying to control everyone and any situation that she comes across, from neighbors to slip and fall cases to there was a season where she was averaged in a year being at the court every other day. So I don't know if something snapped in her or what, but she went full. Sylvia was the kind of person that every time a cop got called to her house for a neighbor dispute, like, she became what we would call a frequent flyer. Like, yeah, you're always dealing with this lady. She's always pissy, and she's always lying out her ass about everything. And she's just out there money grubbing from everyone she can. Eventually, she becomes this primary influence in Darren's life, and all this manipulative control begins to unfold. Andrew would typically have a calming presence with his son, Darren, but Sylvia was always like this stressor. So Andrew goes off and lives his own life. He gets a new wife, has another kid. He like spends a lot of time up north. 2 separate lives now over time. But eventually, what Sylvia does is spend some of Darren's money and buys him a house and puts him in his own house. He has a job at a local grocery store a few days a week. And he has a car. So Sylvia sets him up. She's got her own house. Darren has his own house, but she still controls kind of everything about him. But there's nothing legal about it at this point, right? It's just how Sylvia and Darren are. Sylvia controls Darren's life, right? But there's no guardianship. There's no conservatorship yet. It's strictly just that's how Sylvia is with Darren. She left home when he was 11, when she filed for divorce, and has just maintained control over his entire life up to that point, constantly trying to get more money from Andrew, constantly accusing Andrew of being abusive, and getting Darren, who cannot read and write, to supposedly write letters about his abuse and turn them into the court and all this other stuff. This is the life of Sylvia, Darren, and Andrew. Is everybody tracking with me on this so far? All right.
Yeah.
So he gets into his own home, and things get weird when Darren meets a girl online. So again, he's cognitively capable enough to have a job, to drive, and to be online and communicate with someone. So he has that much ability, at least, and strikes up this conversation with a lady named Amanda Hendrick. They decide that they're going to go to a Tiger game. That's going to be their first date. And Amanda, her first red flag was when Darren says he would have to ask his mom if he could go out on a work night And she's like, I'm sorry, what? You have to ask your mom for permission to go somewhere. And so this was the first weird red flag that pops up for Amanda. Nevertheless, they go out on this date and they hit it off. Now, Amanda's not without her problems either, right? She's supposedly like bipolar, and she is on Social Security disability. Okay. You've run into these people.
Well, I mean, it sounds like Michigan. So, I mean, it's like, I'm not shocked by anything yet.
This is pure Michigan. Definitely. This is definitely pure Michigan. However, to be fair, Oakland County, where this happens, is if it always is like in the top 5, but it has been and will be again, probably back and forth, one of the richest counties per capita in the country. So Detroit, yeah, it can be a crap hole, right? Wayne County is where Detroit's at. It's where I live. Now you go a county north, that's where the money's at. That's where the rich people are at. So it's, to be fair, this does sound like pure Michigan, but it's pure Michigan where there's some money. All right. So Amanda and Darren hit it off. Sylvia is not interested in Darren having another woman in his life until she realizes that Amanda gets Social Security and disability check every month and has insurance, so she can save money from Sylvia's pocket to take care of Darren. So Sylvia lets Amanda move in with Darren. Why? Because Sylvia's pocketbook will be better for it, because she can spend less money taking care of her son. Follow?
Yes. Yeah. So basically move in, cut the rent in half, basically cut the water bill in half.
Yes.
It's more
Spending
money.
less money. Correct.
Let's go.
Right. But I want to be clear. There's no substance abuse. Like Darren has a job. He takes care of his house, takes care of himself, and he doesn't drink. He doesn't do drugs. He's a nice guy. Everybody that has spoken about Darren, from like friends, acquaintances, co-workers, bosses, all say he was kind of like a gentle giant, right? Amanda describes him as the nickname being Grizzly Bear because, well, he was covered in hair head to toe, but he just snored really loud like a grizzly bear. And that's, everybody basically looked at him like just this big, nice guy, right? Like the stereotypical really big dude, because he's a little over 6 feet tall, 200 whatever pounds. Like he's a big guy, but he's super nice, not violent at all.
Right. And
that's who these people are. Okay. Their cognitive problems aside, they're nice people, right? They're not problems in society. Okay.
Right.
Sylvia tells Darren that any other woman besides her in his life is a waste of time. The plan really starts to backfire on Sylvia when Darren decides to propose to Amanda, and that's when everything falls apart. They get engaged in the fall of 2013, and Sylvia is not happy. And that's when the beginning of the end starts.
What's she not happy about?
She's not happy that there's going to be another woman in his life. And if they get married, she loses any of the financial benefit of controlling Darren's money, right? Whatever was allocated to him that she's been in charge of for all these years, then she loses that control, and she's not about to have that. So the family begins to alienate Darren. By the time they get married in August of 2014, Sylvia doesn't come to the wedding. Andrew doesn't come to the wedding. His sister Corey doesn't come to the wedding. None of the half siblings come to the wedding. He's ostracized from the family because he's choosing to get this marriage.
Let me ask you this. If the whole family doesn't agree with it, what's their side of the story on that? I mean, we're hearing this story about Darren being a grizzly bear and a great snorer, but are we hearing this from the side of a bipolar chick, or are we hearing this from the side of Andrew, the dad that, isn't there in the picture anymore. But now you've got cousins and everybody else talking. What is their side of that story?
That's a good question. So we do know a lot from Amanda's perspective, but you're right. And I thought the same thing. I'm like, okay, well, I'm listening to a bipolar chick tell me this story. So what is believable? What's not believable?
Okay.
However, Andrew, there's lots of statements from Andrew about how manipulative Sylvia was. I mean, think back to their divorce, right? Like, it was a complete shock. Andrew describes the whole thing as like, our life was like normal, and then we got this inheritance, and something snapped inside of Sylvia,
Right.
and she just like basically became another person. Like, we had our marriage for I mean, it would have been 16 years. They were married when this happened, when they got the inheritance. So they owned a business. She's an artist. Sylvia's really adventurous, and Andrew like talks about how he loved that part about Sylvia because he was more like a 9-to-5 kind of blue collar guy, and she brought out like the adventurous side in him. He loved Sylvia. They had what he described as a great life. They loved it, but this money that comes, and she all of a sudden out of nowhere, just from Andrew's perspective, files for this divorce and turns into this psycho hose beast, right? She's just nuts and money grubbing and these fake lawsuits and all sorts of manipulation. And then how she used Darren to get more money out of Andrew, right? Like, you're literally using our son, our cognitively impaired son, to fleece me for more money. I mean, so Andrew's perspective is something's wrong with Sylvia. I don't know that he ever knows, like, identifies it, but I feel like the story is certainly like Darren's never done anything wrong. But what's weird is that Sylvia is able to maintain this manipulation and control over Andrew. At some point, when Darren becomes an adult, Andrew's like, listen, man, I've got my new wife. I've got another kid. I've got a life to worry about.
A kid that's not. Never mind.
I can't be caught up in your drama anymore, you know?
Yeah. Well, like,
so,
but what? So you don't go to your son's wedding? It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, apparently there was some. I don't know. I wish I could give you that perspective. I don't even know how I would get it objectively as to why that was the case. But I think Sylvia in that moment, over those moments, just alienated everybody from Darren and anybody associated with him, because she was the one in control of his life. And so I don't know if they were just afraid of Sylvia and what she would do or how she would come after them if they showed support for Darren instead of her, what that dynamic was. I get this overall sense that Sylvia was just like this terrible gravitational force that everyone wanted to avoid. And if she was saying, we're not supporting Darren, then everybody's like, fine, whatever. This is crazy.
That's probably a good. Yeah, it's probably a good take on that. Like, hey, he doesn't need to be getting married. We're not having a wedding. Don't anybody show up. This is ridiculous. This is retarded.
Yeah.
We're not doing it.
Literally. Yeah. So that's what happened. So now they go through with the wedding, and then Sylvia's plan goes into overdrive, where she petitions the court for guardianship and conservatorship. So this is where we can pause and kind of like explain this to people, like the difference. Because how is it in North Carolina? In Michigan, we have both guardianship and conservatorship. In some states like California, there's just one blanket thing called conservatorship. It's an overarching thing. How does it work where you're at?
I don't know what it's like in North Carolina, but I think in most states you get both. And in North Carolina, I know you have a legal guardianship. I don't know though. I just assume that most states have guardian and conservatorships. I know that some have either or, but they kind of mean the same thing, right?
Yeah. So guardianship, at least in Michigan, guardianship would be a physical issue and certain decisions that relate to your physical well-being. And conservatorship is when you have financial decisions. So you actually control their bank account, their money, their investments, everything about their finances. You have complete control over. So guardian is physical, conservator is financial. That's how it is in Michigan.
But like some states have like a legal guardianship, but they don't have conservatorship.
Correct.
So then at that point, does the legal guardian have power of attorney over all the money and everything?
It can work. So yeah, some states will term it guardianship, and then it has a bigger scope that can include finances. And some places like California, they don't call it guardianship; they call it conservatorship. And the same thing, it's more comprehensive. So it just depends. But in Michigan, she goes to the courthouse where she's well known anyway, and starts this process. And she actually becomes. He's married, mind you, right? At this point, has his own house, a car, a job, and she is able to convince a judge that he is incapable of these things. Even though he's already doing these things, she convinces a judge, unrelenting. It had to go through different judges. Some turned it down. She finally found one that agreed to give her this guardianship and conservatorship, and she takes over with them. And the first thing she does is files for a divorce on his behalf. So she gets this conservatorship.
Brian Wilson, if you don't shut the fuck up about the math, I'm going to boot you out of the damn chat. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to boot you, but Jesus Christ. Now you're making me say the Lord's name in vain. He messed up on the math. Who gives a shit? We're C students at best. What is 2014 minus 2022? I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, literally, like he hasn't stopped in like the last 20 minutes.
I don't think that I messed up.
I don't even know what math.
If I did, I'm sorry.
I don't know what math you messed up. It's probably irrelevant.
I have no idea. They were married. Sylvia and Andrew were married in 1980. Darren was born in 1985. 11 years later, at 16 years of marriage, they got $1 million. Sylvia divorced. And then there you go. He loves Brian Wilson in the chat now says, love you guys 11. So the math apparently works out to 11.
I don't even remember what was in reference to. It's like I keep trying to like look down at the chat and all I keep seeing is like these math equations and all this math stuff. And he's like, I'm still confused on the whole math thing. And I'm like, whatever.
All right. So she gets this conservatorship. This is where I want to have a pause the story for a little bit of a conversation. Like, where do you see the value or lack of value of conservatorship? Like I've described Darren to you. Do you think, based on what I've described, that anybody should have conservatorship or guardianship over him, or how do you see that? Where is the line in your mind that one human can have such control over another human?
One, we're doing this on like a documentary style podcast, right? So I don't have all the facts. Sure. I don't know. Like all I'm getting is one perspective of the story.
Right. Yeah.
I as far as I know, a conservatorship or a guardianship, you actually have to bring that person before a judge. I have a cousin who they have a conservatorship on, except I come from a very loving family. And so nobody takes advantage of that conservatorship. She did want to get married at one time. And I believe the way it worked is she did not get married, but the family made it to where she's married in her eyes. It's just not a legal marriage. Does that make sense? Like they did I think this is what happened. They did like a wedding type thing for her. Like they lived together, but I don't think they're like legally married because they can't, because they are both like, you know what I mean? Like they need help. There's definitely some impairment there. Whatever you call it.
In this case, what's interesting to me is that Darren was able to,
and I think they both have jobs too. But I mean, you can have a job and be pretty helpless to your own self.
Yes, I agree. But if you're able to pass a driver's test, drive, work, and you can go out on dates. You can meet people online. You can apply for a marriage license, which you have to do in the state of Michigan. If you're going to get legally married, you have to apply for a marriage license. You have to arrange these things. So this is being done. And even if it's Amanda handling that, the technical stuff, well, now he's got Amanda, right? He's got someone that is of greater cognitive ability now helping him, right? Legally.
Yeah.
He's married legally.
Right.
So he's got somebody else.
It's hard for me to say. Oh, and Brian, by the way, I was just kidding. Don't cry in the corner. Cut yourself in the corner like a real man. Get you a 5-gallon bucket. Go sit on the couch like a real man. I'm just kidding, Brian. I know a lot of people that suffer from major issues, man, and I do agree with the conservatorship. I do think there has to be things in place. I think going on this one, the mom's obviously crazy. The son's obviously got some issues. I don't know how severe those issues are. But obviously the mother is, in this case, we know now in hindsight, is probably way too nuts and probably shouldn't have the conservatorship. As far as the Brittney Spears thing goes, I think there should be more of a court involvement in this. And I know the courts are involved in conservatorships. I know that the court is the one that has the overruling say in a conservatorship too. Like, a lot of people think like it's just the conservator that has all the power, but it's not. Like, the actual court still has the most say.
In this case, she had to turn in an annual statement,
right?
Of like, it was a form that they would mail Sylvia, and every year Sylvia had to fill out this like packet of paperwork and then submit it back to the court with like an update on how's he doing, how's things going, blah, blah, blah. So you're right. The court was definitely involved on some level.
But, for as far as conservatorships go, do I think they're overall bad? No. But just like, are cops overall bad? No. But can you find a bad one? Sure. Can you find a bad teacher? Sure. Bad priest? Sure. Doctor? Sure. Conservator? Absolutely. Obviously, in this case. I think that, in a perfect world, you would have a court that would have some kind of overreaching power where they could come in and talk to it. But then again, now you're talking about more government involvement. And if you're a conservator and you're a good conservator and you're really taking care of somebody, why do you want to be burdened by the courts on this matter just because a couple of people can't do it correctly?
It seems like too that if you're going to choose a conservator, that there would be some type of detailed background on who that conservator is.
Well, I mean, in this case,
like they have her. So. I know, but they have her case history. They have 5 inches of these documents of lies.
Those are all legal documents. They're all legal documents, and she's winning them. Who's to say
frivolous lawsuits where she lost? She didn't win all these things, like the slip and falls, or she didn't win the slander case against her neighbors. It wasn't all like, oh, this lady is really on top of her legal game. It's like you would look at her file and go, this lady is psycho, dude. What is her issue? Why is she here all the time and suing everybody all the time? Like, what is going on?
And now she's going to have a conservatorship over this.
Yeah, it seems like a little weird to me. I agree. You got to have conservatorship for people who need it, but I think
like if one of my kids couldn't handle their own, I would be a good conservator. I would put them their lives first, as I do anyway. So I don't necessarily disagree with the conservatorship. But it's just like a church. A church is an easy place to infiltrate, to be an abuser. Being a conservator is a great place. It's an easy opportunity to take advantage of people. Schools, same way, kind of thing. So,
all right. So crazy as it is, Sylvia is successful at forcing a divorce. So she kicks Amanda out of the house. She gets rid of Darren's current cell phone number and cell phone, buys him, like the burner phone, and adds minutes to it. She controls how much gas is in his car. He's doing a mix of working at the local grocery store and like raking leaves for cash under the table. And she controls all of that and controls all of the money coming in. Only puts enough minutes on her phone to talk to her. Only puts enough gas in the tank to get where she's telling him to go. She's trying to restrict any ability for Darren to end up being with Amanda, okay, trying to separate them. However, what complicates things is just a few days after their honeymoon, when they got married, she was found out that she was pregnant. So now Amanda is pregnant and all of this is happening. And the time goes on. Sylvia filed a fraudulent PPO. So in Michigan, personal protection order, the way it works in Michigan, I don't know how yours work. If you go file a PPO, it is temporarily enforceable. Like the judge will, if one party comes forward and makes a claim, it'll automatically be issued, but it is not enforceable until it is served. And then both parties have a hearing where they can show up and then a determination is made if it will stay in force or not. And so she made up a frivolous incident of Amanda attacking Darren to get a PPO, and it was later dismissed because it was found to be not provable at all. And so Sylvia's trying to do everything to keep this away, but a judge denies the PPO. They tried to stop it. Darren and Amanda are trying to stop this divorce, but it is successful. And the only family photo that exists of Darren, Charlie, the baby, and Amanda was at the courthouse when they were forced to finally be divorced. That's the only family photo that exists of this young family.
That's sad.
And Darren, who had previously respected his dad was there calming him down and asks if he wants to hold Charlie, and he says no. It was like the family knew, like, hey, I don't want to get attached to this. And when Andrew said that he didn't want to hold Charlie, then things really changed for Darren. He really
that's a pretty
himself.
I mean, I'm still thinking that this whole family is just a little bit sideways. I mean, nobody seems to care about Darren at all, or I'm missing something about Darren. Like either, maybe Darren is just this like off the handle, off the cuff. I'm going to do what I want. You guys don't have any control over me yet. I can barely tie my own shoes type of guy. I don't know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately,
like you have
but
to be a pretty heartless dad to want to not hold your grandchild. I can't imagine. Yeah. I can't, even if my kids were politicians, I would still hold my grandkids.
Yeah.
Even though I wouldn't want them to share the same last name as me because they're politicians, but I would still love the grandkids. Yeah. I wouldn't love my kids because they're politicians, but
I don't know. It's I don't know if Sylvia just has that much sway over everyone or what. So, okay. So now I want to kind of forward to the crime itself, because what happens after the divorce court is that Darren is granted supervised overnight visits every other week, one night every other week. Okay, that's the extent that Darren will be able to engage with his daughter, Charlie. All right. Everyone that knew Darren says that having Charlie was like the highlight of his life. Like he loved his daughter, loved being a dad. He was super happy about it. Like when they found out that Amanda was pregnant, she was like, well, let's hold off on telling people. He went and told his friends, his coworkers. He was just so excited about having Charlie. And that's what he's granted. Every other night or every other week, one night overnight visit. And it had to be with Sylvia as well. So it was a supervised overnight stay with Sylvia. So that's the family situation at that point moving forward. Now, this overnight stay coming up in November of 2014, an argument breaks out. Amanda says that she doesn't have a car seat for whatever reason, and that when you come to pick up Charlie, you're going to have to bring a car seat to take her. And Darren says, well, okay, I'll get a car seat. Well, Sylvia says, no, you're not spending that money. Right. We don't have the money to buy a car seat. Amanda has to buy that. So it's a $63 car seat.
Right.
And Amanda's saying, hey, you're coming to pick her up tonight. I don't have a car seat. I could not find what the story was behind why she didn't have that at the time or whatever, but he had to bring a car seat. Well,
not having a car seat when you're doing a child custody kind of a transfer type deal is like going hunting without a scope. Today's episode is brought to you by EuroOptics.com. EuroOptic has been around for over 20 years. Based in central Pennsylvania, they are a veteran-owned online retailer of optics, firearms, hunting, and outdoor apparel. They carry brands like Vortex, Swarovski, Night Force, Lisa, Sitka, Beretta, CZ, and tons more. They're actually one of the biggest in-house warehouse suppliers of optics, and they have like 1 to 2 day shipping. So really great. Their YouTube channel is fantastic. Breaks everything down Big Bird to Cookie Monster style. The employees at EuroOptics are also hunters. They are precision shooters. They are outdoors enthusiasts. So when you call them up, you're talking to an industry-leading expert that has firsthand knowledge of their products. EuroOptics has teamed up with Vortex Optics to bring you an incredible offer to members of law enforcement, military, and first responder communities. All you have to do is head over to EuroOptics.com/VTXLE. VTXLE. Create an account, submit your credentials through their secure form, and once you're approved, take advantage of 40% off MSRP on nearly all of their Vortex products. Additionally, you have access to discounts on most of their other brands as well. EuroOptics is supporting us, so we ask that you support them, or at least let them know you're listening by head over to EuroOptics.com/FTS and browse that site.
Wait.
Look, dude, I'm a shooter. I'm a hunter. These optics are killer. Do they have them all? They've got great reviews. The YouTube, if you don't know what you want to get, if you want, just go on their YouTube channel. They got tons of videos. They break it down. Like I said, Big Bird to Cookie Monster style. Visit EuroOptics.com/FTS to look at all of their products. But if you want that 40% off on their Vortex law enforcement deal, go to EuroOptic.com/VTXLE. And that's Euro, EUROOPTIC, based right out of Pennsylvania, veteran-owned and operated company. Did I say yes?
No, we just didn't have any assets ready for this whatsoever.
Oh, I apologize. I apologize for that.
Is it /FTS?
Yeah, that's it's www.eurooptic.com/FTS. And or if you want to get on that Vortex deal, that little 40% off MSRP, go to EuroOptic.com VTXLE. Victor Tango X-ray Lima
Victor Thomas X-ray.
We use the military phonetics here.
That's stupid.
Military
phonetics. We're police officers, not military.
Yeah, but every police department has a different phonetic alphabet, and that's dumb.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they do not. There is one standardized alphabet.
No, that is not true.
Sometimes
I guarantee you Raleigh's was different than yours.
Adam, boy.
Baker. Nope. Adam, Baker, Charlie.
Yeah, boy.
So Alpha Bravo Charlie was the military.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Anyway. We'll do a poll. What should we do? Military phonetics or just whatever the fuck you want phonetics? Dumb.
Nice.
How about Adam's big cock?
What I hate was when you would like read out a license plate to dispatch, and like you read it out and you're like, Mike Tango Charlie, and they're like, I'm sorry, what was that? And you're like, Mike Tango Charlie. They're like, do you mean Mike Terry Charlie? And you're like,
I had an FTO a cycle of being a training officer, and my trainee read out cat or bacon, lettuce, tomato, or something like that. It was a cat, Roman, something. It was crazy, dude.
Well, on Christmas, like on holidays, I was
making up words.
On holidays, I would always use my holiday phonetics. So it'd be like Noel, Jingle, Frosty, 3761. That'll be
perfect.
Noel, Jingle, Frosty, 3651.
Oh my gosh. All right. Back to the gruesome granny here, which people are like, well, when does it get gruesome? About now. So 16 days after this divorce is when this takes place. investigators would later find at the grocery store or the department store kind of a thing. It's an all-purpose, like a Walmart. It's called Meijer. It's in only like 5 states, but it's really popular. It started in Michigan. So at a Meijer, Sylvia and Darren are seen on camera buying a $63 car seat and visibly arguing in the process. Sylvia is not happy with this. In fact, she saves the receipt with full intentions of demanding that Amanda pay for the car seat and reimburse them, or they're going to use the car seat for the night and then return it. Like they're not having this buy a car seat for my kid moment. Sylvia's not anyway. So they pick up Charlie, and then she's supposed to be back the next day at 5:30 at night. When Charlie is not brought back the next day at 5:30, that's when Amanda starts getting concerned. She starts trying to call Darren. She's trying to call Sylvia. She calls the police, who go and do a welfare check. You heard that on the 911 call. About 8 o'clock at night, they send deputies over for a welfare check. Now, you can't just do missing persons, because there has to be probable cause to believe that there's a missing person. And when you have custody issues, that is what's called a civil matter, right?
Whoa, there's nothing I hate more than pulling my gun on somebody that's just kidnapped a kid, and they're like, "I'm the father."
Yeah, so you would get calls where it's like, he was supposed to be back at 6 with our kid, and it's 6:50. So I want him arrested. Well, that's not how it works, ma'am. This is a court matter, a family court matter, and you would need to call your attorney and notify them. We can document that they're not here right now for you. We can put that in our notes, but this is not a police matter, right? And so then you would say this is a civil matter. You need to contact your attorney, contact the court that is handling this custody issue. So, but they do go out for a welfare check, and on a welfare check, all you can do is you can look for weird things like signs of forced entry or other oddities, but you're going to knock on the door basically, and if no one answers, no one answers, right? There's nothing you can really do other than to say
we're not kicking in doors yet.
Yeah, and some people will recognize that the door was unlocked or something like that. I heard one commenter on a podcast say, like, if only the cops would have opened the door. Well, yeah, cops can't just go violating people's rights and just walk into your house. That's not how it works. That's not how you want it to work. Do you want to live in a world where if cops just want to come over, that your ex could call the cops and be like, go to his house and go inside? Do you want a world where that happens? Of course not, right?
Let me address this really quick. Doug Ledmeda says some states even have a length of time they are missing before Ellie gets involved more than a report. That is 100% not true.
That's a myth. This
that is a myth.
That is a myth.
That is something you see on TV. The only way that comes into play is a lot of cops will not issue you a police report for 24 hours. A report doesn't find your child, right? So you saying that my 23-year-old married, or divorced son with a child hasn't been seen since last night is not something that I'm going to stop what I'm doing and go write a report, because that report does nothing to find the kid. I might go drive around. I might go call other cops in the area. I'm going to go visit some places, but just simply doing a report that's probably not going to post for 24 hours anyway is different than not reporting something for 24 hours, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's adults that we're talking about. If a mom, so this is accurate, right? I've taken tons of missing persons reports. There's a huge difference between getting called to an elementary school where a mom says, I cannot find my child, right? It's not that we're like, well, has it been 24 hours? Because call us tomorrow if you still don't see them. No, that's not what happens. What do? Get on the radio. Hey, area cars, whatever. Like we're checking in this area. Last seen 10 minutes ago, wearing, a SpongeBob shirt, blue shorts, white tennis shoes, whatever, you're describing the kid and you get more cars to the area. You start canvassing the area. You can do something about that.
I think
it's just
our district policy, or I don't know if it's policy or it's just how our supervisor set it up, but it was like, if you get like 2 check-ins for a missing person and you get 2 check-ins, and if you still haven't found the person in like 10 minutes, they send you 2 additional more. If it's been 15 minutes, they send the whole district. If it's been like 30 minutes, they start pulling from other districts until they find the person. It's a big deal, but you can't do that for every single missing person because there's a missing person.
You don't do it for adults, right? Like then I'd be working the desk or standing there or taking a report inside the station, and somebody came and is like, hey, I messaged my son on Facebook this morning, and normally he answers me, and he didn't answer me. I'd like to file a missing persons report. Like, well, we can't file a missing persons report because he didn't answer you on Facebook. That's not a thing, right? That's not a legal reason to document a missing person. That's not how it works. Now, we can go try to do a welfare check for you, ma'am. If you would like us to, we can send a car over and see what we see. But even if that's the case and we knock on the door, now, if we showed up to the guy's house and we see the door jamb is broken, like there's signs of forced entry, then we might be like, hey, here we have it. We'd run it by the boss. Like, hey, we can make entry. It looks like something could have happened. Now you have an exigent circumstance that allows you to violate someone's Fourth Amendment rights on an exigent basis. So then you could go in. So these officers went the night before, knocked on the door, no signs of foul play, no other signs, no other issues, and no one appeared to be home. So
lights out.
They left and they documented it. That was it, right? The next morning, Andrew wakes up to all these voicemails. Amanda's freaking out. He starts to head over there. Hey, call the police. Yes, meet me over there. Great. We already started at the beginning here where he opened up the door and he sees Sylvia on the couch, arms out. What happened is she had slit both of her arms and was draining her own blood into a 5-gallon bucket. We assume that she was trying to kill herself, right? One deputy begins to render aid to grandma. Obviously, in that state, she's useless for information. Okay. She's not really even able to speak clearly or communicate clearly at that point because she's next to dead. She anticipated that she would be found dead, but she is alive. And just so that you know, she is alive to this day. Sylvia Majewska is alive and well, full of blood now.
But Sylvia is not sleeping on a ghost bed at this point in time, right?
No, she is not.
But we do love Ghost Bed here, and I'll just do this ad read real quick. But we do love Ghost Bed. They've been a loyal sponsor with the Drinking Bros for the last 5 years. Everyone raves about super comfortable mattresses that you can, well, I'll leave that part out, into a 5-gallon bucket if you needed to. I'm just kidding. That was terrible. That was dark. That was dark. That was too dark for this ad read. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like that one bit. They're super comfortable mattresses and they last forever and ever. And they're made in the good old USA. Every mattress has a 20-year warranty. Some even have 25. You can try them out for 101 nights. If you don't like them, you can send them back. No hard feelings, but you won't. One of our favorite parts about Ghost Bed is that everybody puts a review in our podcast reviews about Ghost Bed. That's our favorite part. No, I'm just kidding. Our favorite part is that cooling technology so that you can stay hard at night while staying cool. Stay hard while staying cool, baby. Ghost Bed offers bundles so that you can get everything you need. Don't even have to really think about them. Choose from their 4 mattresses. Pick your bundle. I think we sold like 4 ghost beds last week. It was fucking on fire there for a hot minute last week. Everybody was buying Ghost Beds. Everybody in the wolf packs got rich. Oh, tax returns. That's why. Whether you just need a mattress, giving that government, that's my government bed. Whether you want a mattress and a frame or you want it all, like their cooling pillows and their cooling sheets, you can get the best bang for your buck. Right now, Ghost Bed is offering 40% off Ghost Bed bundles where you get a mattress and adjustable base, 30% off if you use the code Drinking Bros at ghostbed.com/Drinking Bros. You can buy a mattress for $35 a month, 0 down, 0 for financing. And that's if you have Brian's math credit. Go check out ghostbed.com/Drinking Bros. All right, let's get serious. We got no more ad reads from here on out. So, smooth sailing.
what happened is they get Sylvia, they render aid, they immediately call for an ambulance to come help save her. The next deputy begins to search the rest of the house, obviously, because there's still supposed to be 2 more people. Comes to the first bedroom, nothing's out of the ordinary. Hits the bathroom. This is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. Tries to open the bathroom door, and it is blocked. So he forces the bathroom door open, and what he finds inside is a deceased Darren laying on his back, head propped on a pillow. Okay, his head's at the bathtub on a pillow, and what's blocking the door is his feet. Again, he's a little over 6 feet tall, 200 some odd pounds, big boy, and he's covering the whole length of the bathroom floor, but laying down. He's half covered by a blanket, underneath which is nothing but boxer shorts, 1 sock on, 1 sock off, 2 leather gardening gloves on his hands, and his throat is slit, and there's blood everywhere, and he's deceased. That's what they find in the bathroom.
Holy shit. So he comes in, mom is bleeding out into a bucket on the couch.
Yes.
Darren has gloves on, gardening gloves. So I'm guessing somebody killed the child and then buried it. Darren buried it.
Well, they leave that room to continue to clear the house. They go into Darren's room. The bed it's like it's never been slept in. It's made, it's neat. The room is in complete order, and inside the crib in the room is 7-month-old Charlie, also deceased, but fresh diaper, onesie. Like my understanding, they described it as a cardigan sweater, like dressed nicely and laying on her side, but dead. So that's the scene that this deputy sort of stumbles into. At the hospital, there's she continues to talk crazy, gibberish, whatever. So this is the scene. How would you already kind of hit on something? How would you interpret this scene? What would your first working theory of this be as a cop, of who did what? With no information, because I have given you what they have. They have a box cutter.
They wouldn't have known.
They have a box cutter on the floor, and they've got a grandma that's still alive that had her arm slit. They've got him with a slit on his throat, and they've got a deceased baby in a crib.
Well, he's not slitting his own throat. I'll tell you that. I mean, at first glance, he's not slitting his own throat. So murder-suicide, I guess.
So the initial working theory of the police at the time was, well, there's no way that Sylvia overpowered Darren, because she's a 65-year-old woman, and he's, this young man that's very large, and whatever. That didn't happen. So it couldn't have been the grandma that did it, right? So their initial working theory is Darren, in his slightly impaired mental ability, did something, whether it was intentional or unintentional, to harm the baby, right? Accidentally, kills the baby. And he can't take it. He doesn't know what to do, so he slits his own throat, because it wasn't a very, very good job. So they think maybe he just, in freaking out, cuts himself because he doesn't know how to respond to the fact that he just harmed his child.
No.
Sylvia finds this unfolding, and she can't bear this situation and kills herself. This is like working theory number one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They can't get anything effective out of Sylvia at the hospital. Yeah, autopsies come back, okay? When the autopsy comes back from Darren, it reveals 4 lacerations to the throat with this box cutter.
Right.
3 were deep, but not deep enough to kill somebody. the fourth cut was to his carotid.
Okay.
Okay, so the fourth cut is what did him in. Not that he wouldn't have bled out anyway from the other three eventually, but this was the fatal, the cause of death was this laceration.
Yeah, and
to
you're
his
not cutting
carotid
yourself
artery.
4 fucking times.
So the cause of death on the baby was blunt force trauma with a soft object. And I could not find for the life of me if they ever determined what that object was specifically, but it wasn't like a hammer or something. It was soft. Like, think about
How old is the baby?
7 months.
Yeah,
So-
it wouldn't really take that much. I mean,
A pillow, like
yeah, you could fucking whack the shit out with a pillow, I guess. But that's
Yeah.
a strange way. That's a strange way to kill a child.
Yeah. So what they end up doing is going back to the scene. Then they have like this scanner where it does like a 3D model of the home and they're trying to reconstruct it. And now they've got luminol. Well, they luminol the bedroom where the baby was found, and it turns this whole theory on its head because it's like a gory bloodbath scene starting in the bed all the way to the bathroom. So what really happened, and they also got a search warrant for Sylvia's phone. So this comes into play in a second. So what she did was waited till Darren and the baby were asleep. She went into the bedroom with a box cutter, gets over top of Darren and slits his throat. And then slits it again. And then slits it again. And he wakes up in the process and is completely confused. So he wakes up, he's holding his neck, and he has no idea what's going on. Out of a dead sleep, wakes up with his throat slit, stumbles to the bathroom, turns the light on, and is standing over the sink. And he starts saying he's cold. He's cold. He's talking to Sylvia, right? He's losing all this blood. He has no clue what's going on. So she says, just lay down, just lay down. Gets a pillow, puts it under his head. He says he's cold. So she gets the only gloves she could find, which are these leather gardening gloves, and puts them on his hands. And he woke up in the middle of the night. He has his boxers on, and one sock falls off of his foot, so he still only has one sock on. And she goes and gets his a blanket and covers him. She gets herself a pillow because you wouldn't want to be uncomfortable while you're killing your son. So she puts that pillow on the toilet seat so that her ass is comfortable.
Jesus.
Gets her cell phone and Googles how to cut the carotid artery.
What the fuck?
Because the 3 slits that she already did wasn't successful at eliminating Darren yet. She wanted to make sure that it was finished right. So she Googles the carotid artery cutting and finishes the job on the bathroom floor.
My God.
She proceeds to clean everything up outside of the bathroom, right? She leaves all the blood and everything's in the bathroom and makes her way out of there and then cleans everything up in the room to make it look like it had not been slept in, right? Cleans all the blood up. Everything is taken care of there, remakes the bed. And then what she's going to do is she's going to baptize the baby. So the baby goes to heaven.
Okay.
And
smart move.
Clean the baby up after she kills Charlie and position her on her side in the crib. And then she goes to the couch, gets herself a 5-gallon bucket, and slits her own wrists. And that is the scene that Andrew and the deputies walked into.
Good.
Of conservator Granny.
But they never found out what killed the child.
Blunt force trauma to the head with a soft object. I don't know.
We never figured out what the object was.
I don't know it. Maybe there's documentation that I couldn't find or get to. Okay. So now this is all starting to come together. On the day of Darren's memorial service, Andrew reaches out to the police and says that he needs a meeting with them. So they agree to meet him, and he says he brings in his possession 3 letters. Okay. Corey, Darren's sister, had gone to the mom's house and saw a binder on the table and opens up the binder. And in that is all the life insurance policy information and a letter addressed to Andrew, a letter addressed to Corey, and a letter addressed to another child from her previous relationship. So these are dramatized readings of these letters, but these are the letters that were provided to the police. Again, this is after they're sort of like working on these theories. They're getting the autopsies back. They're investigating this, trying to figure out what actually went down, because now Sylvia is talking complete nonsense, complete crazy. She's pretending to be out of her mind in the hospital. So she's of no use, right? So here's the letters that they discovered. So go ahead, Elijah.
Dear Carly, well, you're the one left with the work. I've tried to patch and sort things, leave clear instructions and plenty of life insurance to make your future easier. Fly first class to take care of any estate issues and get good legal support. There's little to deal with as I've sold all my possessions to you. Let the house go back to the bank and walk away from as much as you can. Move on and live your life. You've been a sweet daughter, and I'm very proud of you. Remember all the good times we had baking, cooking, making things, and laughing, most of all. Get a really good bottle of wine and make a toast to all the wonderful times in my life. I'm satisfied with the travels and accomplishments I made. Sorry for the way things ended, but my life was over a long time ago. To let Darren live could only bring more heartache. That chapter is over. Live on, prosper, and take as much happiness as you can fit into your heart. Forgive Dora. Much love, Mother.
So
shit.
That's to Corey. Now this is to Andrew.
What kind of wine do you think she bought to toast the family?
She didn't consult you, obviously.
Maybe like a little Chateauneuf du Pape.
Yeah, I don't know what the best wine to celebrate murder is, but
19 crimes.
All right, this is the letter to Andrew.
Andy, Darren lived a full life. It is not sustainable without enormous efforts on our parts. The expense is too costly, both financially and emotionally. I apologize for the lack of gratitude given to you by Dora and Meredith. You gave them a good home and so much more than their natural father did, in many ways they are unaware of. I baptized the baby, and surely she is in heaven with Darren now, at peace and protected from Amanda and her brother. She can't hurt Darren anymore or inflict mental anguish on their daughter. Carly is executor, and I have left instructions to help her with legal paperwork. There are several life insurance policies that should leave both her and Dora okay financially. Hopefully, after a few months, everyone will move forward and realize that what I did was for the good. I'm sorry for any anguish I have caused you. It was done with an open heart. Take care, Sylvia.
So those are that's the dramatic reading from the Sword and Scale podcast that I first heard about this on, but dramatized readings of the letters he gave the police, which showed that this wasn't just something she stumbled into. This wasn't last minute. This was very premeditated. So as soon as she knew the next supervised visit was going to happen, she had this planned. She wrote these letters. And in fact, remember that annual update I said that she had to send to the court?
Yeah.
The court did ultimately receive that update, and it was dated the day of the murders.
Oh.
So she sent the final update saying that Darren was doing fine now that Amanda was out of his life. But it wasn't, she didn't get rid of Amanda. She got rid of Darren to get rid of Amanda out of his life. So again, if this was about taking good care of Darren, she has a weird way of showing it of taking care of her son, being the great conservator that she was. So this is how Sylvia decided to premeditate all this and encourage her daughter to raise a glass to the great life she lived now that it was over. So this was all completely premeditated on the part of Sylvia to end life this way. Now, she doesn't stand trial immediately because the first psychiatric overview was deemed that she was incompetent, but she was faking. For 2 years, she fakes being out of her mind. And finally, they are able to call her out on her bullshit. A psychiatrist says, no, she's completely capable and completely in her right mind. And she ultimately pleads no contest to 2 counts of manslaughter and gets 25 to 50 years, essentially a death sentence for her because she was in her mid-60s at the time of the murder. So 25 more years to 50 years. I mean, she's not going to live past jail. And if she does, she'll be a completely useless shell of a human at the end anyway. So they worked with the family on what kind of a sentence would, work. And that's what they came up with to the no contest. And I want to give you another reading of her final words in court when she is getting sentenced. So this is the words of Sylvia Majewska to the world when she's getting ready to go to jail.
I was hyper-vigilant, constantly helping him. And that's all I ever did was help him until I ran out and hit a breaking point. I did everything I possibly could. I just reached a breaking point where it was impossible, and it did something to me. I broke. Something happened. It wasn't anything mild. It was something terrible that happened. I feel what happened. It's really hard to live with that. Even though I don't know what happened, I accept it. I accept responsibility for it. It's a real shame. I'm very sorry. I'm so sorry you have no idea. This is beyond belief. I really have done a lot of grieving.
Who gives a shit what you've done?
I don't know what happened, but I accept responsibility. That's a classic, disassociative behavior where you want to say, oh, I don't even remember what happened. I blacked out and did all that. Oh, you blacked out when you Googled how to cut your son's carotid artery while you made sure that you were comfortable with a pillow on the toilet seat, bitch. Okay. Wow. Yeah, you don't know what happened. And you really have had to deal with the fallout of this. Yeah, no crap. You had to deal with the fallout. You killed your grandbaby and your son that you were a conservator over, that you were supposed to take care of, that you were supposed to look out for. So
has Andrew ever made any statements about this?
No, he has refused to do any interviews, any public statements since
I kind of feel like it's your responsibility at that point to, make a statement.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's the story of the gruesome granny, Sylvia Majewska.
Now you talked to one of the prison guards, did you not?
I did. He was working at Oakland County Jail at the time and had encounters with Sylvia and said that you could just stare right through her. Like there was no soul in that woman, that it was just, you look through the eyes and it was just evil. That's all there was. There was just evil. There was no soul behind the eyes, like crazy.
Did we put the pictures of her up there on StreamYard on the YouTubes?
I know we put a picture of her up there.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I wasn't watching. Man, what a fucking crazy story, dude. I'm glad she's in prison. What was she got life in prison?
25 to 50 years.
Oh, so that's life.
Basically for her, a life sentence.
Yeah.
I don't even know why you wouldn't just give a life sentence. Again, to me, you guys all know my opinion. She should have just been killed. Why? I mean, my tax dollars are literally helping to keep her alive right now. I would prefer to spend them elsewhere. But that's my decision. That's my take.
Yeah, I mean, how much more premeditated? It's so funny because we see other crimes happen across the country, and they want to jump right into second degree and first degree murder on these cases that you really don't even know the facts of them, but yet you're still trying to get these crazy sentencing, And in here you have one that's clear cut, totally premeditated, and we're not going for first degree.
Yeah,
What do they charge her with?
She pleaded no contest and it was a manslaughter charge. So
Amber HHS says, why don't you have a picture of her behind you, Tansey? Because she's not hot enough.
She's not
that's
Florida.
true. Yeah,
She's not from Florida.
You got to have Florida crazies on the wall.
Yeah, I only have Florida crazies on my wall.
Oh man! All right, so that was there's your true crime for the week of a crazy conservatorship, and why it's important that if you're gonna make somebody a conservator over your life, hopefully they do a little bit.
I mean, do you get to choose who your conservator is? I don't feel like
no.
Brittney
I'm just
Spears
saying,
had
like, hopefully this is a wake up call to the courts to make sure that when you're granting someone conservatorship, you take a hard look at. I mean, that's what irritates me about this case is there was a 5-inch freaking file on this lady at that courthouse. Like it was obvious to anyone looking that this is probably not the kind of person that you want to be in charge of someone else's life. This is like, but I don't know. I don't know what I tried, like, cause I did this research this week. I tried to actually find out, were any of the investigators on the case still around? Can I talk to them, kind of get some of these shaded details? And I would like to do better in the future at being able to actually interview cops that were involved in these cases of stories that we tell, so that we kind of have like an insider perspective and we can kind of shade this a little bit better. And I know that I came up short in this one outside of talking to one of the guys that was there with her at the jail, but
we're still new to true crime.
Still.
I mean, this is only like our 4th week in true crime, so a little bit different for all of us.
Yeah. But hopefully you guys learned something about like welfare checks and missing persons. And that's what, when you listen to, like, for example, if you listen to the Sword and Scale episode on this, it's episode 196 on Sword and Scale. They just kind of bullet point it, and they make no sense of the police action. And I listen to it and I'm like, oh, I understand exactly what's going on. So hopefully people, when they listen to us tell these stories, they hear like a cop's perspective on reacting to these things and what a cop is thinking through these things, so that you can understand it too. Like learning about the 24-hour myth thing. I mean, it's a very circumstantial thing how missing persons are handled. And it is a myth. You don't walk into a police station and say, I'd like to file a missing persons report. Has it been 24 hours? Okay, I'm not doing it. It's not that simple. It's not how it works.
Somebody wanted to know what's next for the Wolfpack. We do have another show coming out. It is May. It'll be a Tuesday show that'll get released. It's podcast only. And it's on Tuesdays. And it's, what's the date of the first release? The 24th? Is that what it is, Mike?
I don't remember.
I think it's May 24th, but
it'll be Tuesday during the day. The audio will come out.
And the host is somebody we're really excited about. We're really excited. Should we tell them now? If they've made it this long, 160 people in.
Ooh, you know what? Let's tell our members. We'll post a member only post. We will announce. I will walk into the other room when this ends, and I will do a member post. We have like 9 new members. Thank you very much to everyone who's already showing that kind of support. I will do a post and I will put it in the Discord as well. So those that have shown that kind of support for us, you'll get advanced knowledge on what this podcast is that we have coming next. The next episode of Failure to Stop. And I think you guys are going to be excited. I'm excited.
Oh, Travis, you loser. Ha ha. You're not part of the members only club, you loser. We're even have members only jackets. Suck on that, you peasant. Can't afford $3 a month. All this inflation.
All right.
You peasant. Why don't you try being middle class sometime, Travis?
Yeah, baby.
The cool thing about the members only group is because this new show that's coming out, and I think it's May 24th, whatever that Tuesday is. We will be doing videos, but it'll only go for the members on YouTube.
Yeah, off the cuff. Last call, that's going to be all we'll drop links to watch us record it live. So you'll be able to be there when we record or watch videos of it later, if that's your preferred style. And that's going to be a member's perk. So again, we're not changing. We're not taking anything away from anybody. We're just adding more to people who are supporting the show that way. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Logan. Yeah. Tell them to stop being poor. You'll pay $5 for a gallon of gas, but you won't pay $3 a month to hear extra bonus stuff from me and Mike. I'm just kidding. But we do need members only like jackets.
Something, man. We got to figure
what we need
out.
to do is get a patch, a members only patch, and then everybody just go to the Goodwill and buy a jacket.
Yes,
Yeah,
something
patch
like
on the
that.
jacket.
A failure to stop members only. Yeah, patch or decals. We're gonna get our Skate Daddy Transy decals out soon too.
Oh
I
I
need one for my laptop.
Stickers.
I want instead of like the little I want instead of the Apple symbol, I want Skate Daddy Transy like right here in the in the
and then
middle.
we have our we have our Holy Rollers shirt coming out at some point. That LeBron James shirt is nice. It's up on the store. Tyler Durden, this is up on our store.
I'm working on a couple of that.
And then we've got a Big Bird of Cookie Monster style limited release shirt. I think the poker one and the Cookie Monster, those will be limited releases. So I think you'll have like they'll just be a limited number, and once they're gone, they're gone. But I don't know.
Hey, what if the Skate Daddy decal actually incorporates the apple into it, so you're like holding the apple in your hand?
Oh yeah, come get us. No, because not everybody. Well, obviously, we have a whole bunch of people in here that are low class. They can't afford apples. Like we,
Oh my gosh.
Sons of Transy hoodie.
Sons of Transy. That's funny. That'd be cool. I'd wear that too. I'd wear a patched up leather jacket. Sons of Transy.
I have
Dude, I can't wait for my Blackjack for Jesus shirt.
I have a mocked up Transy, like Trans Am shirt that I did that never saw the light of day.
We might unearth that. But we'll see.
Okay.
All these inside jokes. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. We hope that we continue to improve and deliver the best quality content that we can 4 and soon to be 5 days a week to you guys. We love the Wolfpack. We appreciate every listen, every rating, every review, every engagement, chat, all of that stuff. So thank you guys. We love you, and we will see you next week, baby.